Go around the badger.
Hey everybody, it is the Angry Honey Badger here, and it's time for another champion build video. It is, of course, time for some violence. We're going to be playing Vi today, or taking a look at Vi. I think one thing we need to cover just at the beginning of this video, since we now are into the preseason for Season 6, the meta has shifted. We have seen that, that's obvious. But one thing I think we're ignoring, or some people are ignoring, not everybody, I think junglers are a lot better than people think they are. Because of the changes to the jungle, and just the meta itself, I think junglers are actually way stronger than a lot of people think, and we are going to take advantage of that by playing a jungler who's been good the whole time, and that's Vi. Vi's been fantastic ever since she was released. In fact, she hasn't seen tons of changes, she's seen a few, but overall, she's a fantastic champion. She's always been strong, and the reason behind that is because of her kit. So today in this video, we're going to talk about, obviously, the items you want to build. We'll talk about runes and masteries briefly right at the beginning, and we'll talk about the items too, and just strategy, thoughts and concepts, all types of stuff. We're just going to talk, we're going to have some fun, we're going to watch some random footage, we're going to get into a big fight in bot and give Jinx a triple kill, and we're going to feed them. Why not? Because we're going to win anyways. We're Jinx with a Vi against it. You're going to die, Jinx. It's just how it's going to work. I know that sentence didn't make sense, but I don't even care. So anyways, let's talk about this. So let's start with the Masteries. A lot of changes to the Masteries. There is a link down below to the Masteries page. You want to check that out, to all Masteries for Season 6, so you can check that out. But it is a 18-12-0 page. Pick up a lot of damage in the 18, little bit of defense or, you know, defensive type things in that middle tree with 12 points over there. And then as for the runes, it's going to be armor, seals, that's the most important one to have. Attack damage marks, we're going to go with magic resist per level. Glyphs, you can take a half and half mix if you want, some flat ones and some scaling ones. You can do both. Then for quintessences, attack damage is good, and so is movement speed. Both are good in different reasons. Obviously, one brings you damage, and one gets you in and out of fights, which is good, and helps you stay on people. Now, when it comes to Vi and her abilities, at level 1, you put a point easy peasy into your denting blows. It gives you that increased damage on every third attack. It also gives you more attack speed and reduces armor. It's fantastic. You want it at level 1. It's going to help you clear in the jungle. Then, at level 2, excessive force. We put a point into that. You get more damage on your next basic attack, and you get that cone damage behind it. Very important. Also easy to proc your passive shield on, which is good. So you want that. We're going to max that out second. At level 3, though, you put a point into your Vault Breaker. You're going to max this out first. It scales really, really well with damage. You also want a shorter cooldown. It slows your movement speed, obviously, when you start to cast it, and you can, you know, get that full range up and then come bursting through with a bunch of damage on the tip of that at full range. Really, really good stuff. Max it out first. It's great. At level 6, of course, the Assault and Battery, we'll put a point into that. Keeps your enemies knocked up for 1.25 seconds. It'll obviously get you sliding real far across the map, too, to get them. And you're also immune to crowd control and will knock aside all enemies, which is great. You can deal 75% damage to people you knock aside while you're in your sliding animation. So, very, very good ultimate. And that's what makes her really good, is her kit. She has her Q early, which she can gank quite well with. She has her ultimate, and the minute your ultimate is up, you should be going and ganking lanes. It's really easy to capitalize off the amount of crowd control she just brings by herself to a fight. So we're going to come back in, we're going to actually slide in, then we're going to lock down the Zed, while the Renekton, who's quite large, goes ham, and while our Yasuo picks up the triple kill. We were quite behind early in the game. That's 4 kills for us now. We're still 1 kill behind, and they have a couple early turrets. Luckily, with that fight, that's going to help us secure a turret in the bot lane. So we worked around things, but we fell behind pretty far early. The main thing this game at the beginning is to keep an eye on Jinx, since she did get those early kills. But let's talk about the build just a little bit early. So we're going to go with Blue Smite. The slow is good. Red Smite's also good. I could also use their official names, but you know what I'm talking about. And then as for our upgrade to our jungle item, we're going to go Warrior. And I know some people like Devour on Vi, but there's a big problem with Devour, especially in the preseason. If you're not officially aware of, or you haven't played a lot of games, they're a little bit quicker now. Things we're not seeing as much of are Dragon 5s. We're seeing some occasionally if a game does last that long, but not often. The other thing, too, is with quicker game times and turrets falling faster because they are weaker, people are shredding through towers. They fall faster. The first one in this game felt like 7 minutes. Because turrets fall faster, we're not stacking dragons, and game times are quicker, stacking Devour actually kind of puts you at a disadvantage. You don't have that amount of time to just sit in the jungle and stack it up. So it's actually kind of holding you down. The other big reason I don't want it on Vi is Vi actually has really, really strong scaling attack damage on her abilities. Assault and Battery scales at 140% of AD, and Denting Blows scales at really, really good too, I think. 1% of every 35 AD is a percentage added to it or something. It's quite a lot. So with the little bit of damage we do pick up from the Warrior enchantment, we just get a lot more damage through the rest of our kit, which is what makes her also good because she can get to the backline and assassinate individual targets depending on her build and where you go from after you pick up your Warrior enchantment. So let's talk about that. So since we were behind, and we still are technically behind, we're catching back up and fights are getting closer at least. This was a little bit of a brawly fight, but it does get cleaned up by Lucian mostly until Zed shows up. We're coming back in there, but we're still behind. They still have a little bit more turret pressure on us on the map, and we're going to be safer, and we're going to be going with a defensive start to our build. Luckily, Vi has good damage output regardless, and so you're a little safer this way, and it's better for you overall. So we are going to start building towards the Omen. I know some people would like to pick up a Dead Man's Plate instead. Plate's not a bad option. Plate's good. It is a cheaper item. It does give you less armor, so you got to be a little bit aware of that. It does technically give you 50 more health, which is good, but I'm not worried about 50 health. Health is very, very important stat, don't get me wrong. But the one thing Omen brings us for just a little bit more gold is that reduction in damage we take when we are being crit. And with the amount of Yasuos we see nowadays in games, and the amount of ADCs, since the enemy team has 2 of them, it's really important to actually have that reduction of damage on crits. We're going to see a lot of ADCs this season. Get the Omen. It's going to be a very powerful item when you need some defensive stats. So we're going to be building that first. Now, when we do build this first, we make sure we pick up the Giant's Belt. The reason behind this, you can have magic resist and you can have armor, and they can both be good stats to have. You can have tons of it, but if you don't have health underneath it, it's less effective because it still is going to, I mean, when you're still getting hit, it's still taking health away. You need health underneath it as well so they can last longer and you can live and have more longevity in a fight. Like, if you just go out straight away and you buy a Frozen Heart, it is a good item. It does give you a lot of defensive stats, but because you don't have a lot of health underneath it, you still melt like paper in some instances, even to a person with a good amount of attack damage. As much as you're denying a lot of it, you can't deny a lot of it for a long time. You don't have the health to withstand. Omen gives us both, but make sure you pick up the health portion of the Omen first, because you'll also be just resisting magic damage too, because you have health, because that health is a stat that works against both armor and magic resist. I mean, not technically blocking it, but living against both. If you only have armor and they're still dealing magic damage to you from some source, then of course you're still dying faster because you don't have a stat to negate it. So pick up the health first, then get the Warden's Mail, finish it off, get the Omen. Now, after you finish an Omen, if you happen to be in a state where your team is slightly behind, there is an opportunity to then get the item we would have liked to get first, which was the Trinity Force. We are going to be able to do that this game because we're turning things around. We have a couple kills now. We have a handful of assists. We are farming fine for a jungler, and we're catching back up. So we can actually start to build the Trinity Force next. If you were still behind, I'd still maintain buying defensive items because Vi still does plenty of damage. She still gets in there and does the initiations just fine, which is what you really want her for. You want her to engage, such as we engage on the Vayne. Very important to get in there and engage. Other people can clean them up. Your laners, your mid lane, your ADC should all be dealing plenty of damage to take care of these people. So you are always needed as an initiation. If you only just build damage and you die as you initiate or you can't fully engage, that's a very unhelpful thing for your team in the long run. So make sure you can survive to engage. Now, the next thing, like I said, we would have wanted to pick up the Trinity Force first if we had some good early ganks, if we were ahead as a team, we had some more assists or a couple kills. Then you just straight up go for the Trinity Force. Pick up the Sheen and the Phage first. It comes down to personal preference on which one you want first. Phage is really good, just have a little more damage and health, which is always good. The Sheen part's always good just to get the proc. It's also cheaper now. So you can always buy it that way. But we are going to be building it now because regardless, at a certain point in the game, especially against a team such as the team we're against, where they have 2 carries or 2 ADC carries, it's always good to get back and just assassinate one of them. Vi can do this easily with 1 damage item. I know Warrior's technically a slight damage item, but I mostly mean 1 damage item being the Trinity Force. We are setting up for a Baron. We're going to peel off of it, kind of. It's a really weird fight, honestly. We peeled and it kind of worked. Now I'm fighting both of the ADCs, but we can go back in. I'm actually going to miss the slide on her. I'm going to flash out because I don't want to actually die. But we do pick up the Baron. Solid Baron plays by the team, and we ace them. We only actually lost 1 person that fight. I'm not saying it's because we did peel, but that actually broke them up on how they wanted to engage. Luckily, Jinx wasn't there right away, too, who was the character on the team who got a lot of kills. So when you're on Baron, make sure you communicate with your team. If they show up and Baron is at half life or higher, or actually quarter life or higher, peel off, kill them, because we're stronger. That's why we're making the Baron play at that point. We feel like we're stronger, and you got to peel. If you're going to commit to it, make sure you burst down the Baron, get your smite involved, and have your support, or whoever your zoner is, zone off the enemy jungler just so there isn't a smite battle. The person who has the best crowd control, usually the support, or somebody who's just beefy and hard to get through, maybe like in our case a Renekton would be good, they need to be denying the enemy jungler everything they have to get into that pit, so they cannot try to win in a smite battle. So we went out there and we're going to be able to push in a little bit further, but after this point in the build, we will finish this Triforce in just a second. There are a couple items I want to talk about that a lot of people commonly get, and a couple that I like to get. Now when it comes to boots, we went with the armor ones. We went with Tabi. They're just good against a team with so much attack damage. Obviously, Merc treads would be great if you needed something with tenacity and you wanted a little bit of magic resist right away in the game. Now, as for other items, if you need a magic resist item but still want to bring some damage, the Maw of Malmortius is actually a little bit better now with the changes we saw. You do get some armor penetration on it, a little bit more damage. You do get good magic resist too. If you want to beef up harder though than a Maw, then you would want to go with a Banshee's Veil. Banshee's is going to get you covered really good. If you want to go with a little bit more damage but it still gives you some defense, you can pick up the Black Cleaver now. It is really good. It does give you a lot of attack damage. It gives you what is even better in my opinion on Vi for more vault breakers and more assault and batteries and more denting blows. It gives you 20% cooldown reduction, which is pretty huge, and the 300 health is going to continue to make you a formidable initiation source when you can get to the backline and assassinate somebody. It's really, really good to have. There's just no arguments there. So the Black Cleaver, quite good. If you need more armor at this point in the game, I could probably go actually with another armored item after this because, like I said, they have a lot of attack damage. I could actually then go with a Dead Man's Plate because it's giving me a mix of damage with its passive of Crushing Blow, and it's going to give me more health and armor, which is going to help me do those initiations. I think the main thing to take away from Vi is you don't need a ton of damage. You can definitely feed some in. I wouldn't go just straight damage items. I want to go with like a just straight up Bloodthirster or a Ghost Blade. You don't need anything straight up. Get things that are going to give you other defensive stats or other stats that will help you and your team, because you don't need to be a Glass Cannon. She does plenty of damage without those items. She's just quite good as a champion. If you're not quite sure about Vi, I would definitely try her out the next time she's free. If not, pick her up. She's an easy champion to go up the ranks with too, because she's so good at engaging. But that's a build for Vi. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll see all of you in the next build video.